first off, let's start with Justine. You're both the director and the writer of the film. Talk a little bit about the story that you were trying to tell in writing this project.
Sure. It's basically a map to get from a life that has a foundation of fear-based decisions to a life that has a foundation of instinct-based decisions. And it's something I went through years ago. I didn't know if it was I didn't know it was possible to get from one to the other. And once I realized you could, then I wanted to share that information with others because, you know, that stole time from me where I could have been myself back then. And I wanted to lessen the amount of theft in other people, you know? Yeah, so basically, you know, the character of Violet is kind of a similar state to, you know, where I was. And the character of Red that Luke plays was like what I wanted to become. So, you know, hopefully now I'm like much more of a Red than I am a Violet. And I got to tell you, the part of Red was almost the last role I cast because I couldn't find somebody who exemplified this sort of way of living. And then when I met Luke, I was like, oh my, I was like, thank God I have this, you know, he was it, you know, he was just it. And very grateful for that. And he did a fantastic job. I mean, if I hadn't had that, it was such an important component to the film, you know, to have, where are you headed to, you know, and if I hadn't had that, it would have been tough.
Luke, tell us a little bit about Red and talk specifically about the scenes with Olivia and, you know, what you're trying to, how you guys created that chemistry, because those scenes are pretty affecting. Talk a little bit about your character and how you created that chemistry with Olivia.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, thank you, Justine. Very, very kind words. But the thing with Red and the kind of connection they had was, I think the lovely thing about Red and his relationship with Violet is that he ultimately cares about her being able to take control of her life and do what she wants. He's known her for a long time. They're kind of childhood friends in a way. Him seeing this friend not owning their life in a way that they could, he really finds a good balance between not telling someone what to do, but just kind of like opening a door or a window and being like, you should look out there. There might be something interesting out there. And allowing her and you know, to be like, and it's okay because I'll be right here. If you don't like it, I can just shut the door and close the window. It's fine. But you know, it might be worth having a look out there. And then, you know, finally at the end of the movie, I think he's so relieved and so happy that this person he cares about has been able to take the reins of their life finally, and for the first time, and to express themselves and to live their life without fear and with instinct and with control, without the fear of pain, you know, involved. So yeah, as a character, I really admire him, and there's parts of him that I certainly really wanted to take into my own life. His honesty and his ability to love and care, but also not making sure that's not washed in ingenuous kind of platitudes. I think everything that he does is honest in a way of that only he knows how, which is, you know, probably how he got to this point in his life. I don't think he was always like this. Like, I don't think, you know, I think he kind of made that discovery and now wants to help this person he cares about make that discovery and make that change and that turn that corner and take that fork in the road that they own. Not get on a train track, but take a road where they can drive where they want rather than be a passenger.
Justine, if you can talk a little bit about directing Olivia in this role, you know, talk about a scene or a specific moment where you collaborated with her on sort of trying to get into that moment of insecurity and overcoming it.
Yeah, I mean, though I did a lot of research for this role, so to speak. I mean, for this film, to write this, it's not autobiographical. It's really representational of these kinds of situations we have in our lives. Like Tom Gaines is the person in your life who happens to repeat back to you the negative thoughts you have in yourself, and you wonder like, wow, are we both tuned to the same radio station? How do you know that? And Olivia, you know, she had, you know, qualities I could see in other projects that I knew I needed for this role of Violet, and I knew the more subtle qualities I could tease out of her and expand, and she really lent herself to the role, and it worked out great.
Luke, did you have a scene with working with Olivia that you know, was maybe your favorite to work on over the course of the project?
Yeah, it might have been, I don't know if it was maybe one of my first days, but there's a scene in the kitchen in the house in the morning where we just kind of locked off the camera. They just had a view of the kitchen, and it was two people existing in a space. And I really enjoyed finding the simple, some would say, kind of mundane parts of like making a coffee with someone in the room, or like chatting about that. And that's always the really human stuff that I find really interesting, the behavioral stuff, you know, what you touch when you're in a kitchen, and how you interact with someone you've known for 15, 20 years, you know, and the ease that comes with that, but then also the individual lives that are taking place and all that. So I really enjoyed kind of that, because that's a discovery of two people and how they walk through and in a room and interact with each other when they're in different places personally, but then that connection that they find from that proximity and that history that they have with each other. So I really enjoyed kind of those scenes. I think we did a couple. I just enjoyed exploring these spaces without fear of like, I have to hit here and hit my mark and hit my light and deliver something truthful. I got to really explore kind of my whole surroundings with Olivia and with Justine, and that's always stuff that I find really elusive, and it seems simple, and it seems kind of like, oh yeah, we'll just do this, but to find those truly human moments that are in the mundane always make it a truthful performance and a truthful story.